Welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management, a weekly conversation with area leaders about how to persevere during uncertain times. Now here's your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. The program's brought to you by Worth Wealth Management. They're enhancing lives and strengthening families. Our program talks a lot about people in need, challenging times, and it combines that today. Because one of those things, we have students that we know go to Fort Hays State University. They have to figure out a way to afford the cost of that, and it's always a challenging time for them and their families. But we have good news for their students, and partly because of our guest today, the Director of Academic Success at Fort Hays State University, Kathleen Cook. Good to have you here.
Gary, thank you so much for having me.
I like that title. What a great title. How long have you had the title of Director of Academic Success?
So that title has changed a little bit over the years. I started out as it was student success and retention. And then over the summer, we went through a bit of a reorganization at the university, moved a few pieces around, got on-campus, online services and supports together. And it gave our office an opportunity to come up with our name. And academic success is where we went. We thought it was the easiest for students to look for, be able to find us. And we felt like it really encompassed all of the areas within our office.
So what's driven you to take this as part of your life? Because you've been there a few years. We talked about that for the program of really helping students at all level. But what has driven you to be a part of this and lead it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always enjoyed helping students kind of find a path, find a direction. I think every role I've taken at the university has kind of led me down this path. I started in the recruitment realm of just getting and helping students pick a university, pick a college, and then worked with online students. And then this opportunity arose, and it's working with orientation, tutoring, support, having those one-on-one success coaching appointments with students, which I really love getting to know the students on that level. And so it's really just it's been such a great progression in my career moving in this direction. And it all comes back to supporting the students.
Who is your mentor?
I have had so many over the years. And it's mostly always been somebody at a university. So I've had great advisors in college who helped guide me, lead me. I always tell students I was that student who went to every professor's office hours. I got to know them. I would pop in and say hi just so they knew me. Because at the end, when they're picking and selecting your final grade, if you're on the bubble and they know you, they're usually going to bump you up. So I always tell students, your instructors are people. Don't be scared of them. Go talk to them. But I had amazing faculty, amazing advisors. I had an assistant dean in college. And the whole time I was in college, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to be her. I want to work with students. I want to mentor. And it kind of really moved me down the path of higher education.
You know what? I had to go see teachers too, but it's because I really needed to. My feeling was you're trying to go from a B plus to an A plus. I was just trying to make sure I made it through the class. So knowing the teachers, that was always a good thing. So
Yeah.
in the process, we have students who are coming to Fort Hays State. And you and I have had a chance to work together over the years of the Schmidt Foundation Scholarship. And it's a neat scholarship. It's a full ride for 5 students and first-generation families for schools. But it really highlights what is needed because these students, and we see so many of them that apply for this, that really need financial help to achieve their goals.
Yeah, there's some amazing students and amazing high school students looking for opportunities. And honestly, a highlight of my spring is reading some of those essays and then having those interviews and getting to know these prospective students. I wish I could help all of them. I say that all the time. Oh my goodness, there's just a few I wish I could help more. But having that opportunity to really give somebody an opportunity to really it's changing a student's life of giving them that opportunity and giving them a chance. And I sit there and I read those essays, and there's times I'm just sitting in my office crying. I'm sure the people near me are like, "What is happening in Kathleen's office?" But I'm sitting there tearing up reading essays because it really puts a lot of things into perspective. And I count my blessings every day that I didn't have as many of the trials as some of the students that are looking for opportunities.
Each year, there's 5 students that are selected for each class, and as long as they keep grades where they need to be and some other criteria, once they do that, they can continue on and basically have a full ride through Fort Hays State University. But there's hundreds of students that have applied for these sort of things, and that's what you and the team do is kind of sort out those that we select for the final five. They get to attend Fort Hays State University. With that, the five get to go, but there are others out there. And what I'm impressed with is that Fort Hays really works hard to find an avenue for those students to also at least have some sort of scholarship or some sort of way to attend Fort Hays State University. That's what's really cool.
Yeah, we a member of the admissions team is on our, I would call him our committee that makes the selection. So we partner with the on-campus recruitment admissions team quite a bit. And then that gives us a little bit of an in with the admissions office. Are there other scholarship opportunities? Can we find some other scholarship money different places? Are there other opportunities for programs? And the admission staff will call the students that don't get if they were in the top 20 and they don't get the award, they will recommend other avenues, other venues. And I've been really trying to brainstorm ways that we can really help as many students as possible by coming up with other orientation or like kickoff opportunities before the semester starts for some of the first generation students. And there's really a lot of good first generation programming starting up on campus too. And really trying to support all the students, whether they get the Schmidt Scholarship or not. How can we support the other first generation students
Are
too?
you surprised at the number of first generation students that are out there?
I feel like I am surprised every year. I keep thinking it might be shrinking possibly, but there really still are such a large number of students. And they come in and they do a great job, but there's definitely some pieces without that family support to help and guide or have the knowledge that they could use some additional support. So yeah, I am surprised. I don't know why I guess I think it would be shrinking, and maybe they just keep finding us, which is great.
One of the things that surprised me about the whole process is how many of these young people in high school have had, I'll say, difficult or challenging, maybe a challenging upbringing, but they go out in the community, they do things, they're out working, they're positive, and it's so good to see that because they've not been given a golden spoon. So they have to work their way through that. And yet they show up, they do interviews, they do the things to try to figure out how to get a scholarship, whether it be the Schmidt Foundation scholarship or another one. They're working hard to get to something new and make their life better. That's so cool to look at and watch.
Oh, I agree. I cannot imagine that some students are working full-time jobs while they're in high school, 40 hours a week, 30, 40 hours a week. And I definitely was blessed I just had a summer job. My family helped me be able to do that. But yes, there's some students that are amazing. And then they're keeping their grades up, they're volunteering, they're student body presidents and vice presidents. And there was one student I read, they're taking an EMT course in addition to high school and everything else they're doing. So they're doing great things and they're really great citizens in their communities too.
And that's part of the whole basis of the first generation scholarship is to get some students who really don't have the financial opportunity, but have, I guess, the personal attitude and fortitude to be able to go back to their communities and do great things and do that. You mentioned summer jobs. What was your summer job?
Yeah, so I worked at like the ball field. I worked at the rec. So I was a official. I worked concession stands, and then my last summer I did the field maintenance. So I drug the fields and chalked and all those things.
Well, you have a good stuff. I was just a farm boy, so farming came first. But I can tell you what, detasseling corn was not one of those things that I wanted to do for a career. I learned that early on. You got paid, but I could figure out something else to do. So, Kathleen, with that said, I want to take a quick break, come back and find out how people can find out about the Schmidt Foundation Scholarship, but also other scholarships that are at Fort Hays State. Hang on. Kathleen Cook is our guest today on Forward Ever. We'll be back with more after this.
Since 1776, the United States of America continues to stand tall. It's been tested before, many times. Through grit and the ability to move forward, we create better tomorrows. We help our clients live their best lives to and through retirement. We make it easier. Thank you, Kansas. Worth Wealth Management, enhancing lives and strengthening families.
Welcome back to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. Our guest today, excuse me, is Kathleen Cook, and she is, it's a great title, she is the Director of Academic Success at Fort Hays State University. Kathleen, we talked about the Schmidt Foundation Scholarship and what that brings not only to students, but it brings a whole group together of first generation college students who are able to go out and do new things in their community. It's a great scholarship, but Fort Hays State has a lot of other really good scholarships. If you want to find out more about these scholarships, where do the students go to do this?
Yeah, so I always send students to like our financial aid page. It's going to have links to information about financial aid and FAFSA, but it's also going to have all of our scholarship information. So the scholarship office is within our financial aid department, and there are lists of Fort Hays scholarships. It's I always tell people it's kind of like online shopping. You go in, you read the scholarships, you see which ones fit your criteria. You can add them, fill out an application, it submits them. The Schmidt Foundation Scholarship is a little different. It's listed in that application, but there is additional link on our website because we ask students to fill out a very specific essay for us. So they're asked to fill out the application, there's an essay, and then we ask for two references. The Fort Hays Scholarship application opens in the fall in that kind of mid-September range, and then it always closes February 15th. So February 15th of this year was when our scholarship closed, and that's where the committee kind of goes into action, reviewing the applications, figuring out who our top candidates are, who we're going to interview, and then that kind of sets that process of selection in motion.
So one of the things I've heard from some of the students is their counselors in their school are also very helpful in this whole process. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The counselors are probably some of our biggest referrals into the scholarship. I know our admissions department really promotes it. My office is really close to the Welcome Center on campus, so anytime I walk by, I see the TV scrolling through opportunities, and the Schmidt Foundation Scholarship is one of them, and it has the previous year's pictures of the students who were selected, and it always makes me smile when I walk by. So I know the admissions staff is really promoting it. But the counselors are the ones that are like, hey, let's fill these out. Here's the deadlines. They're the ones keeping the students on track. And from our top candidates, I went through and looked, majority, probably 75%, have a counselor as one of their references.
Wow, that's cool. Now, you mentioned coming to the Welcome Center. Somebody, and a lot of times students will visit with a parent or, they find a friend. Let's go visit Fort Hays State for the weekend. Sounds like fun. We hear Hays is fun. We want to go to Gellis, et cetera. Can they just come walk in and say, what can I apply for?
So they can walk in. The admissions staff probably doesn't recommend walking in, and I'll tell you why. If you schedule your visit ahead of time, we can make sure that pieces you want to visit are available. So when students schedule a campus visit, they can say, hey, I'm looking at either I'm pre-med, I want biology or chemistry, and they can meet with both departments. So they can go see both of those departments if maybe they want to be on the dance team or they want to be in band. Those appointments appointments can be scheduled while they're on campus. If somebody walks in, they can 100% get a tour, they can meet with an admissions counselor, they can see campus, but there's not a guarantee that all those extra meetings would be able to be last minute scheduled. It's not a deal breaker. I always say still come see us. I think getting a student on campus is the best way to know how you feel. How does that campus, how do you connect to that campus? So setting foot on it is the best way to make a college decision. And I think we do a great job with our campus visit program. The admissions office is wonderful. They're wonderful to work with. So yes, somebody could just walk in the door. It happens all the time. I might be running to lunch and someone looks lost and I'm like, hey, what can I help you find? And they're like, we're looking to check in. And I'm like, all right, let me get you to the Welcome Center. But with the new Fishley Wills Center for Student Success, the Welcome Center is in such a beautiful location. They have such an amazing spot. And then they can play the intro video and all the fun things to get you a little hyped up about campus.
So you can go online, find out. You can drop by, probably not recommended, but a good starting point is your counselor. And Kathleen, I appreciate all the work you have an academic success team there also that help make this all happen for the students. As part of the Schmidt Foundation, kind of you get to see a little bit of the work that you guys do in the background to make the Schmidt Foundation scholars work and how that all transpires. That is so important. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for your leadership on the team, and appreciate you taking out some time today to talk about it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Our guest today has been Kathleen Cook, who's the Director of Academic Success at Fort Hays State University. Thanks for listening to Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times. It's brought to you by Worth Wealth Management, where you can live with confidence. I'm Gary Shorman.
Thanks for joining us for Forward Ever, Leading in Challenging Times, presented by Worth Wealth Management. Join us right here next week for another episode with host Gary Shorman. Until then, remember to move forward ever, backward never.